This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so today I'm going to teach you Terraform. So the first question is, what is Terraform? That is the first question we should know. So if I look at that Terraform, I see using Terraform you can code for infra. Yeah, that means you can write a code for infra. In a DevOps, it's all about the coding for CI, coding for CD, coding for infra, coding for everything. Basically nowadays we have a concept of coding of everything, right? So coding for infra, code for infra using Terraform, you can code for infra. Now next question is there, what's in infra? So I don't think so I have to tell you what's in infra. What is infra? Anything which you have uh, and you use to deploy the software, that's why infra, right? um, AWS is infra, Kubernetes infra, uh, Azure is infra, Google Cloud is infra. So now what's there in infra? So for that, I would like you to look at this one. So that way your mind will be broader. So we call it a Terraform provider. Okay. And this is the list of providers. Look at this here, number of providers, almost 5,000. So these many things, that means these many platforms, or you can call it tool or whatever it is, it's in infra. These are supported infra. Uh, that means using Terraform you can code for all these 5,000 approx platform. A major one which is, you can see here, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and sort of things. So that is the infra. So yeah, it's a tool where we can code for infra, and typically we call it IAC. IAC means infra as a code. So that's a tool category, you can call it. Now this tool is written in Go. So the moment if I say is a Go, that means you should not ask me, uh, can I install in Windows or Linux or Mac, because Go is a platform independent. You can literally install anywhere, right? Now they have a multiple releases actually, and release which is like a uh, community release, and then we have a enterprise, and then next one is a cloud one. Okay. So community release basically is a command line, okay, which I'm going to cover in this session. And the enterprise is a UI. So, and cloud is also UI. No matter whether you go for enterprise or cloud, command line, anyways you have to learn, because the programs which you write using command line, you test using command line. You probably have enterprise feature, running capability, logging, role-based access control, and all kind of things in enterprise and cloud, right? So this is the most important one. So command line you can use for that. Now this is a free, okay, and whereas this is a paid version, and this is also paid. Now what is the difference between enterprise and cloud? So enterprise is like a web-based version of Terraform. I mean, I would not say Terraform, web-based version of managing your project, which is using a code as a Terraform, that way. So so enterprise, you have like you can install in the your private locations also, and cloud version which you can avail through, go to the cloud terraform.io, and then there you can subscribe for it. So that is the stuff. Now now why we need it, why we need this tool, why we need Terraform? So the answer is very simple. In DevOps we talk about automation. So that means everything we want to automate it. And whether it's a CI, CD, or creating infrastructure, destroying infrastructure, all these things. So you want automation, and coding is one of the best way to automate. But the challenge which we have is, like, you cannot use start using I mean, let's say if you want to everything you want to codify, uh, then you can simply cannot go and use start using Python or Java or C++ or Go language, right? You cannot do that. Why? Because these tasks are like very high level task, and if you start doing the programming for each and everything, basically it'll be too much time you'll have to spend to maintain, and many other stuff, right? Maintain the code, test the code, debug the code, learning the languages and all. So that is where we have got the concept of a DSL, domain specific language, which is easy to learn, easy to implement, easy to debug, easy to extend, and so on. So that is where you have a Terraform, though it's written from Go, but using Terraform you can write a domain specific language, that means infrastructure automation with the ease of it. Okay, so that's the fundamental of it. So I think it's not only applicable for Terraform, but any tools you go. Last time we had an answer, right? Same region. We have a DSL language for every problems, and we use those programming language. Is that clear, all of you? Yes. Okay, so now the question, most important question, is how it works. How it works, how Terraform works. And this is a most important question. Sorry, you need to know that, because this is the architecture, how it works or not. So let's draw a simple diagram. This is you, and of course you will write some code. Now this is a code which you write in Terraform. I'll teach you, that's not a difficult thing. This is the code, and this code, we call it the specification, we call it HCL code. What is this HCL? So typically this code is like specification is HashiCorp configuration language. Okay, that's a specification. That means any product which you use from the HashiCorp, this tool is from HashiCorp actually. Okay, so HashiCorp is one of the organizations which has a multiple product for software engineering domain, including Terraform, Packer, Vault for security, Nomad, and Senetel, and many more tools we have. Okay, many tools we use in SRE and DevOps. Okay, so you are going to write a code which is in Terraform, SCL code, HashiCorp configuration language. That's very easy, and store in the .tf file. So just like that, we store Java code in .java, Python code in .py, Go code in .go. So same way we store the Terraform code in .tf, and the specification which you call it HCL, HashiCorp configuration language. Now here you will specify what kind of resources you want to create. So let's say these are the resources you want to create on AWS. These are the resources you want to create in Azure, something like that. So you have codified this one. Now this code need to send to the your provider, which is this is AWS, this is Azure, this is Kubernetes, right? And this is a GitHub. Now, if you look at this, all these providers, which I gave you the list of it here, okay, check it out. So these all are supported by APIs, mind it. That means HashiCorp Terraform needs the API supported providers only. So that's the reason these all providers which you see need to be supported by APIs. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to send the code to that. So now this code you have written, and part of this code need to go to AWS, and part of this code need to go to Azure. Okay, so how this code will travel and do the work. So that is where there is one executable is coming, and that executable is called terraform.exe. This is the main executable. Okay, so what you do, you send this code to Terraform. This is executable, and you say, hey, this code I want to apply or destroy. Okay, simple. Apply means create all these resources on AWS and Azure. Create all these resources on, destroy these all resources from AWS and Azure. So this command you sent, the command is Terraform apply, Terraform destroy. I'll cover that in the demo for time being, just architecture. So you write a code in SCL, stored in the TF code, send it to Terraform using apply and destroy. Now this Terraform will read this code and find out, because they have 4,900 providers, right? So for each platform, there is a separate providers. Like this code is only for meant for AWS. This code is only meant for the Azure. So how this Terraform will segregate this code and send it to those providers? So that is where the Terraform has some inbuilt capability. This is executable, and they use the one concept called provider. This is what I was talking about. Provider. Provider. Now, what is a provider then? So this conceptually, if you look at these providers, are nothing but executables. Again, this is also executables. This is also executables. But you know what? There is a one executable for each provider. You see here, there's a 4,000 providers are there, but there'll be one executable for each providers. Okay, I'll show you that demo here. Okay, so now you need Terraform, and then you need each providers also, whichever you are using it. Okay, now this code will send to Terraform. Terraform will segregate the code and send to their specific provider. This is AWS, this is Azure, this is a Kubernetes, and this is a GitHub. Now this will make a call to API of AWS. This code, whatever it is, will make a call to API of AWS. Are you understanding, all of you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now see here, AWS will respond. Why? Because anything you make a request to API, whether it's you write a, here I'm writing a code, okay, but you can call AWS through command line also. You can go to the console and then also do the same thing. So whatever the request has been made through API, AWS will respond, and those response will be stored. Understand that those response will be stored in one JSON file. Mind it. And this JSON file, we call it state file. This is just a file, okay? State file. So understand this way. Now, you want to deploy the whole infrastructure at AWS and Azure. For that, you write a code. That code you send to Terraform using command call apply or destroy. Terraform will allocate those code to the each providers as per their code requirement, and those provider will make an API call to the platforms. Platform will respond whatever is created, destroy, whatever it is, and then stored in the JSON file, which is called state file. And this is how the whole Terraform works. So you want to create the whole infrastructure in one go, apply. And you want to destroy the created infrastructure in one go, Terraform destroy. The most important part is Terraform code. Understood now?
Yeah. So this provider basically convert the code into, platform independent.
Yeah, good point. So the code you write in HCL, okay, but AWS has a different format to understand. Azure has different format to understand. Kubernetes understand different way. Every APIs which you see here understand in a different way. Every tools are different, right? So this provider is a executable which helps Terraform to convert the code in the suitable one, which is understood by AWS. Got it?
Got it.
So this is the architecture. So what we need to do? So the first thing which you need to do, install the Terraform. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing you need to do, whichever the provider you are using, install the provider. It's easy, I'll show you. Third thing, you write a code, which I'll teach you. And fourth thing, apply or destroy. That's all. And then fifth thing, check the state file, whether what is the things got created or not created. Is that clear now?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so now what to do? So first thing, as I said, we are going to install the Terraform. Okay, so how do we do that? So now I'm going to use Windows for this, though you can use the Linux or whatever it is. Okay, so I'm going to install the Terraform in C Terraform. Actually, I might have installed in this machine. Let me check. See here, this is executable. Now this is the older one. I think I'll delete this. Okay, so I'll download in front of you so you can have a. So here you have all installations, BPs, AMD, ARM. ARM is not for us. AMD, we use it. Here, this is mine. Windows, AMD, 64-bit. Okay. So now I'll extract this. I'll delete the older one. This you need this executable, that's all. I put it in the directory. You can keep it in the same directory, but it's easy for me to set in the path. So now if you want to use on the command line, set in the path this directory. Here is a exe. Actually, it's set for me, but I want to show you. Go to the path, edit, and you see here. Okay, done. So now your work installation is done. Okay, so this part is completed. Now, second thing which I want is provider. So for our training, I'm using the provider AWS. Okay, and GitHub also if I see. So how do we do that? So I just said, see, how do you download the provider? So basically you got the Terraform already. So now everything you can do through the coding also. That means this provider, you can download using code also. Manually also you can do that, but code is better one. So now the question is, which code will download? So first thing before that, coding, I told you very specifically, all the codes need to be stored in the .tf. Please remember, all the Terraform code must be in .tf. And second thing which I'm going to tell you, and please understand, there is one directory. Okay, in the directory you have 1.tf, 2.tf, 3.tf. These all are one code. Please understand that. Multiple files in one directory still is behaving like it's a one project, one code. Are you understanding?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that means you write all this code in one file, still is a one project in a one directory. or you divide all those code in the multiple files because you want to maintain it, still is considered as a one code. And that is where in the whole directory label you run tf apply for creating and updating, and tf destroy for destroying. Tf means Terraform. Okay, I'm just writing in short here. Okay, so now the question was, okay, how do we download the providers? So providers download, how can we do that? So I will go and ask provider itself. I don't know. Here, this is the AWS, Azure, and many more you can see. Click on it. And I must also suggest one thing is, like, please refer the official documents only. This is having lots of changes, and official documents you get up-to-date information. Website, like different websites, you have outdated information because this has a lots of changes. That's a problem. So how do we download it? So here you see huge provider, and they give you the code, this code. I will write this code. Let me create a project one, and here I will name the file .tf. Typically, you can name it anything but with tf, but typically we write it main.tf. That's a practice, it's not mandatory. Okay, and then open this and put this code. Okay, so typically I can store this in the provider.tf also. Yeah, let's store that. Let's follow the practice. Providers.tf. This is better. So the moment you see the file, you will see, okay, this has a providers code. Got it? So that's all. Now, only this code is required to download, only this code. But if you want to hard code which provider you want to use for this project every time, then this code is required providers. So this is the code which will download the providers. But the question is, which command will be run? So anytime you want to run anything like downloading the providers or updating the providers, there is one command which we have, is called Terraform init. Okay, Terraform init. Remember, init means initialization. This command will download the provider and or update the provider. Now here there is some error, and please read this. Here it says duplicate. Okay, so what mistake I did? Main, I have to remove it, but I removed it but did not saved it. So they're saying, hey, duplicate providers are there, and I think this is the one of the important thing which you have to start reading, understanding, and all kind of things. I will rerun, and you see is downloading the providers. This is the version from the internet. Okay, so now this is the things. So now the provider has been downloaded. Now the question is where this provider has gone. So now if you go to the same directory, do you see this hidden directory .terraform? That will be created when you run init, and then inside that providers registry, they have their own structure, and AWS version Windows, this is the one. So this is also an exe, correct? Now, so like that you can download other providers also. So same way, there is no other method, same way. So you got a Terraform and you got a providers. Any questions?
So to download this provider, we need to keep this code right in a directory, and then we have to run it like in it.
Right. Yeah, this code manually also you can download, but that way you won't get a structure properly. So it's a good to download through the coding. This code is only required. This is just for the version locking.
Hmm.
So let's say you want to download some other provider. So go back. Let's say Azure. Same way. Copy this one. Now Terraform do not support 2 Terraform block. Okay, so what do we do in this case? So copy this code and put it up here. That's all. You'll get error actually. So it's good to get error and solve it. You will understand slowly. But yeah, this is the multiple providers is supported, but only one block Terraform is supported actually. Okay, so now one was downloaded. Now second one, run one more time in it, and then it will be downloaded. Done. And now if you go back to the directory, see here Azure RM also has come. Got it?
Yeah, Raj.
Yeah. So that's the two things we got it. Now third thing, you need to learn how to write a code, and that is also pretty easy. I'll teach you. But before that, there is a one command flow I want you to learn about it and know about it, and I call it a basic workflow. Okay, basic workflow. And there is a one basic workflow and there's one advanced workflow. Just put the at the end of DevOps School, and here you get this. Okay, so now this is the tutorial which you should check it out. Anyways, I'm showing the demo, so you don't need that one. But this image, I want you to understand this. See, so these are the 5 commands you have it. So first command I showed you, Terraform init. So this will download the provider I showed you. But you know what? Once let's say you have a code ready, so you need to create those resources or update. So which command you will run? Terraform apply. But before that, if you want to see the dry run, that means what resources will be created or what resources will be destroyed. So which command you should run? Plan. So that's a flow. So Terraform init to download the providers. After that, you should plan. Dry run will be shown. Then apply will make a real changes. And then once it's done, then Terraform show will show you what was created in state file. Show will take the input from the state file. This is the place because whatever is created is there in this file. It's a JSON file. And then destroy whatever you had it in the JSON file. It will be destroyed on AWS. So these are the 5 commands. It's a workflow. You must remember it. Will you remember?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So now the most important part of this session is how to write a Terraform code. That is most important one. How do we write? So first thing, you need to understand that in the API world, because these all are API call, okay? So in the API call, everything is considered as a resources. Okay, resources. Let me show you. Let's go to the AWS homepage and see here. If you look at this, sorry, why? You see. So you see here, these are the category of resources. So one of the category, if you go, let's say EC2, see resources, correct now? And how many resources you have? See here, so many resources you have. These resources you can create, update, or delete, destroy, right? So everything is all about the resources. Let me show you the GitHub also. And you see here, these all, let's say new. So this is also one resources like that. Okay. So if you go to the GitHub API, you will understand better way. And see, the left side, you see, these all are resources. So let's say repository you want to create, right? R here. This is the one resources. Okay. In Kubernetes also, if you go Kubernetes, everything is resources. Next one will be, I'll teach you Kubernetes only. See here. See here. It's not showing. They have changed this. Index page, I'm looking for it, but it's here, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. So these all left side, you see, these all are resources. So that means every feature nowadays you find at the platform, no matter which tool you are using, each feature we call it one resources. Will you remember this?
Yeah.
Now each resources, example EC2 instance, or example one repository you want to create, get repo. This is one resources. Okay. So see, when you want to create a EC2 instance, virtual machines or Git repo, you need to give some arguments, right, to create it. What arguments? For example, name of the repo you want to give it, which org you want to create it. These are the argument. Or maybe in case of EC2, you want to give CPU type, disk, IAM image, AMI image, and kind of things, right? No? So these are called arguments. So now coming back to the points here, how to write TF code. So guys, the Terraform code is nothing but a collections of resource, and argument. It's argument. That's all. That's all. Resource 1, resource 2, resource 3, resource 4. That's all. This is your code. That means this can be EC2 instance, this can be VPC, this could be subnet, this could be ASG or whatever. That means if you want to create a code for infrastructure, first of all, you should know all this infrastructure. What is this features and their arguments. That's all. This is your code. Now, next question is like, how do we know which provider has how many resources and each resources how many arguments? So rule number 1, first you know this platform. Let's say if you're coding for AWS, you should know AWS. If you're coding for Terraform, Kubernetes, you should know Kubernetes. If you're coding for GitHub, you should know GitHub. Simple rule. Second thing, you can go to their documentation and see that. For example, let's go to AWS. This is the first one. And here I click on the documentation. And now if you see that, these are the category. Same category I showed you here also. These are the category. Okay. But compute, go to the compute category name somewhere. I'm just looking for it. Compute, Elastic Cloud Compute, sorry, E. Elastic Cloud Compute, E. Where is that? Strange, I'm not able to find it. It's here. EC2. See here, and these many resources we have. See these many. So under that category, these many resources. Each of the resources will create one feature on AWS. So what do you wanted? I wanted one EC2 instance. Let's say example EC2 instance. So I'll locate the resource name, and here this one. See, resource name, AWS instance, and this resource will create one EC2 instance. So likewise, if you want to create anything on the using code, you have to identify the resources. So now this is the resource I found out, AWS instance. Correct now? After that, you have to pass some required parameters. See, some parameters will be required, some would be optional. So how do we know that? So scroll down that page, and you see here argument reference, and pretty huge list of arguments you get it. These features is not a Terraform features, mind it. These all features from where? These arguments,
AWS resource.
right? AWS SRE resource. So if you go to AWS and create a EC2, I'm creating through the console, not through code. Now just to show you, see these all options, and advanced also so many options are there, right? See, so these all options you can see here also. This called arguments. Okay, so what do you need to know? First thing, resources and their arguments. Now each resources you will get examples also to get started easily. For example, this is the code which will create a EC2 instance. That's this code. This is the example. So what do we have? Look at this format. Resource name. This is your name. Okay. You give it human name. This is the API name. Arguments and their values. 3 is required. AMI is required, type is required, and tax is optional. Are you understanding, all of you?
Yeah, but how will you identify which are optional and which are mandatory to get a resource?
That's a good question. That's what. Sorry. That's sorry. So first rule number 1, you should know AWS in that case. Second thing, if you, let's say you cannot, let's say you are writing a code and you cannot keep looking for the every argument, because each resources you have hundreds of arguments. What you can do, check this sheet. That's what I'm saying. Always check the official pages, no other pages. Here required. See here, wherever that the arguments is required, you will have that required flag. Got it?
Yes.
But this will come with the experience. You don't need to think in that way, because you know the moment I'll put it in this way. Let's say you don't mention this one, so error you will get it like required arguments is missing. So that way also you'll come to know. So many ways to gradual learning
Okay.
section.
Got it.
So this is the code. So this is the one code. Like that you want to create something else, and like that you write a code. This is a gradual way to write a code. So now what we understood, how to write a code. So first thing, again I put it in step by so you'll understand. When you want to start writing a code for Terraform, the rule number 1, know the provider in detail. That means, let's say if you're writing code for AWS, know AWS before Terraform. That's the first thing. Second thing, once you know that, know about their resources and their arguments. The third thing, come to these resource dictionary index page and find out their resource and their arguments, and write a code in resource and argument block like this. That's all. So this code has been written and you are done. Every resources you get an example and complete list of arguments and references and complete documentation. Yeah, this is initially you will find, first you start initially first few weeks you will find this is a headache really, but you get used to it, because this you have to do as a DevOps engineer, you have to do all the time. So you get used to it. Okay, so this way it will save your time also. So this is how you write a code. So let me change this code and create a resources. So what AMI you want? So let me copy this AMI. I'm copying from, this is AMI ID, right? Yeah. Okay, and put this and macro, that's okay. Tag hello world, that's okay. This code will create one resource, that's all. So now what you need to do, so remember my workflow. You need to first run the plan will do the dry run, then apply, then show, and then destroy. So let me show you plan. So clear the screen. Terraform plan. I have only one resources. Likewise, you in real you have hundreds of resources. So it's taking time. Okay, Windows, I know for some reason is taking time. So what I will do just to save, yeah, good. So so sorry. So now what do we have? So we have some error. Now what kind of error? So see here, think about it. AWS, whether you make a call from API or console or command line, don't you think AWS required the authentication? Correct now?
Yeah.
How can a resources be created without authentication? So now next question is like, okay, how do we know which are the authentication method supported by each provider? I said each provider. Why? Because every provider is having different authentication method. So that's your knowledge, you have to gain it. So let's say I don't know that which method supported. So I will go and ask a provider itself, hey provider, please tell me which are the authentication methods supported by you. So for that, I'll click on the provider and click on the documentation. And this is the home page. Please remember for each this provider. Okay. And I'll go a little bit down and you see authentication and configuration. So what I'm trying to tell you, each provider will have a similar pages and it's a very well crafted documents actually. So now if I see that AWS support these many providers, I mean these many authentication methods, and let me tell you, this is not a Terraform supported, it's just AWS provided. Terraform is just supporting whatever AWS is supporting. Okay, so these are the way to authenticate. So one of the ways which I'll take it up, I'll just set some keys and variables, something like this. Okay, and then use it. So can I copy this? Go to the providers. See here. So inside this configuration options will come. So I'll delete this part now. Only one things, and then which region. So region is what I'm trying, Mumbai, right? Yeah, Mumbai. And then keys and secret keys. How do we get it? So this key I have to generate it. And every platforms, every provider is different method. That's what I'm saying. So don't hard code yourself with the steps. Azure will be different. Google Cloud will be different, like that. Okay. So here I have not got it. I'm generating one and done. Now, guys, I'll tell you one thing. This is the worst practice which I am doing it. Embedding the keys in the code itself is a worst practice. But I'm doing it. Why? Because right now I want you to focus on the learning rather than best practices. So what you should do, you should configure the AWS and put it in environment variable or hide it somewhere. So there are many ways to do that. Okay. But this I'm doing because I just want to make it very simple. Are you comfortable, right? All of you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So now I'll do the plan one more time. So authentication is set, and you see how many resources will be created? One. How many change? Zero. How many destroy? Zero. That's a true. Only one resources I'm creating, and each resources all these arguments you see automatically you can see that. Now what to do? Apply. So run this. Apply. Next. Next one. See. So apply will say, hey, are you sure you want to perform this? Because one resource will be created, zero to change, zero to destroy. I say yes, I'm sure. Enter. And now you see one resource will be created. So just imagine if you have a thousands of resources like that in this code, that means in AWS thousands of resources will be created. Don't you think so? And just also imagine out of thousand, let's say if you want to modify hundreds, you can modify through one command for up creating all thousand resources, one command to change, and one command to destroy. So powerful, right? So easy, correct?
Yes.
So now one resource is added, change and destroy. Let me show you that. So go to the EC2 and you see I had a one VM earlier. Okay, now you see two VMs. See hello world. This still initializing actually. Done. And this hello world is tag. Okay, come from where? The code you look at this one. Now there are some fundamentals you need to be very strong at. So let's say if you modify this one, what will happen? This is my code, and if I modify this one, what will happen? So understand that. It's very simple. See, you need to know the tools very well, so you should know the impact. For example, if you modify AMI, so here if you look at the architecture, your desire was this one. This is your desire, okay? Let me. This is your desire, and this is actual. Terraform will match that. So if you say, hey, earlier I wanted, what happened? Earlier I wanted this one, and now you want something different, then what will happen? Terraform will destroy the older one and recreate. Mind it, Terraform will destroy. Because AMI ID, you cannot have a two AMI ID of the same, right? So that's the thing. Two AMI of one VM, you cannot have it. So I modify it, and then again I run plan. Okay, see here. Plan. See here. What is doing? Are you understanding the logic?
Yeah, but you're creating one VM, okay, and their name is different, right? So if you're going to create another VM, how it will
I'm
be
not
like?
creating another VM. I'm not creating. If I'm creating another VM like this, I have to do that. I'm
Oh,
modifying the
okay,
same VM, but
okay,
I change
got
the AMI ID.
it. Then you have to
AWS
delete it. No, no.
huh, AWS allows you to change the EMI ID of existing VM? No. So
No.
in that case, what Terraform will do? Destroy that and recreate a new one with a new configuration.
Mhm.
Got it?
Got it. Yeah.
But I want to show you one more thing. I change the tag and then run this one more time plan. What will happen this time? Look at this. See here. No add, no destroy, but change. How come? So one time I make a change, it's coming destroy and add. Another time I make a change, it's coming add. Why? So the answer is not hidden in a Terraform. Answer is hidden here. Can you change the AMI ID of running VM? No. Can you change the tag? Yes. Understood now?
Yeah.
So that is where the change is coming. So that's each provider has a distinct quality. Each resources has distinct quality. So please stick to that fundamentals. Terraform is just following what providers is allowed to do that. Okay. So now let's say if I modify this and manually, and now if I do the plan and okay, and here let me modify this plan. I reverted my local changes. And you see, still it's coming one change. Why? Because what has happened? The real value is this one. Please understand. My desired value is this one, which has not changed. So that means Terraform is checking the what changes you have made it here, and it's a drift problem. So they will try to make it. So now make a apply, and then whatever the remember that concept is very simple. This is your desire which you want to create it. This is the actual. Terraform will make actual and desire on AWS at any cost. And for that matter, if something to be destroyed or changed, it will do that based on the capability. Understood now?
Yeah, Rajesh.
Okay. So now it's changed and you see that changes has come. Refresh. See, hello world. Now next phase is destroy. So clear the screen and Terraform destroy. Simple. Oh, before that, I have to show you the show, right? I missed that. Show. Remember show. So show means I want to show you the state file, which is a very important one. Here it is. Okay. So this is the state file, which you should look at it. So state file is a something which is a JSON file, and whatever the output from the provider, it will be stored in the state file. Now, should you modify this file? The answer is no. Okay, but you can refer it. See, it's pretty. Only one resources has created this much of data. So if you create a more resources, it'll be pretty long. So you should not modify. You should not touch this file. Okay. So if you want to see that IP address, let's say go to the this is the IP address is 100. So here also you see somewhere IP address. See public IP address. So here the skeleton is like this: resources, instances, and then these are the data for it. Type, AWS instances, name. This is important, and these are the arguments for that. Okay, so you can check this. How do you check through command line? Terraform show. See everything you have on the command line also. Okay, now you say Rajesh, one resources right now it's okay. Show is showing this many things if it is one resources, but in real time you have hundreds of resources here, which I want to create it and all, and it will be very difficult to see everything. I just want, let's say I created AWS and I just want to have a public IP. So what do we do in this case? What we do in this case? So for that you have to write a code. It's like a print, echo. Every programming language you have it. So here in Terraform we have an output block. This block. So output block, using that you can use that and to run it. So let me copy paste. Don't want to. This is the complete tutorial. Terraform output block. I'm lazy, so just copy. Okay, so this is the output block which will help you. So this IP address, this name can be anything, okay, but the value which you are trying to see that. So here AWS instance .web, and this variable will come from this one, real one. Okay, so now this is like a kind of debug or echo for Terraform. Output block will help you to show you the variable. So how can you see that now? So just run this Terraform output. That's all. And here it says there's some error. Error is refresh has not happened. So because I modified the code and after that I did not run apply or something like that, right? So they're asking do the refresh. It should fix that issue. So now refreshing it, and then now you see output has come. And now if you see output, so only the required thing which you want to display on the screen, you can do that. Got it?
Yes.
Okay, great. So now this is the whole flow of writing the code. So let me remind you one more time. This is you write a code, apply destroy through provider, make a call, and then JSON file, and this is the whole things works. Here, this all code is a one project, whether you write in one file or multiple files, it's the same thing. This is the state file, which is a JSON file, the output from the providers, and this will be the last backup of state file. So if you miss, you can check it out, this one also. Inside that there'll be providers executables which you have seen. This is the version log file. That's not important, automatically it will be generated. So this is the whole things. Now one thing I want to talk about, and that is called Terraform variables. Okay. See, if you
One
write
more question, Rajesh. If you want to create multiple instances, okay, so you have to just copy and paste multiple times.
yeah, that's a good point. So here, let's say you want to create a multiple instances. So what do we do in this case? So there are two methods. Easiest way, this one, which you have already answered, and but the problem is this name and this name cannot be same. So you have to make a different name. That is the one thing. Okay, so this is unique for each resources in your project. For each project, sorry, not resources. This name has to be unique. You cannot duplicate the name. Okay, so if you write another resources, you have to keep it unique name. But there is a but this way, if you want to create 100 resources, you have to define 100 times, right? And this is not good, right? And for that matter, there is a some global Terraform has given some global arguments. Okay, I call it global arguments, but Terraform call it meta variables. Meta variables. Terraform call it meta variables, but I feel more this keyword is aligned. So I will go and show you. So Terraform meta arguments. Okay, and you have a 5 or 6 meta arguments. You can check it out, this one, and here you have some of them. So which one I needed here? One meta arguments I needed, count is equal to 5. So this argument is not specific to these resources. When I say meta arguments, that means irrespective of which provider you can use it. That means everywhere you can use it. That's the reason I call it a global. That way, it's for my mind, it's very simple to understand. Okay, so here you have a meta count, and count meta arguments will be applied anywhere wherever you want, and then you want to create, let's say, 5 instance. So count is equal to 5. So this way it's easy to do that. Make sense?
But also this instance name should be changed, right, for each creation.
Okay, so there is a thing. Understand that. Uh, AWS allow this name to be duplicated. Allows. Okay.
Okay.
The AWS allows. Let me do that. Here, this tag and this tag. Oh, I made a mistake. See here. What I'm doing. See here. Correct now?
Hmm.
So here, this name is not related. Remember, every instance has a unique ID that's called instance ID, which is a different from AWS. In AWS, instance ID. This is different. This is different. So this name is not bothering here.
Yeah,
And
later
this
you can update like after creating, is it? I mean, manually you have to update, go to the AWS and update these names for each instances.
no, 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 no. You can name it actually. There is a way to name it. Every instance unique. For example, let's say this one, right? So
Hmm.
I'll give you that simple way to rename it. Just a second, hold on. It will be fast. Just give me two. So count, you can use it. Write a TF code in a way to set unique name for each instance. So there's a count, right? Count is a kind of for loop. So they
Correct.
will set in the tag for loop. Let me show you this code. See it. Now this code is the same as it was. Now what you see that here, tags name hello world, and here count, this is the one, and dot index. So first time it will be first time plus one, second time plus one, like that it will be there.
Yeah,
Got
that
it?
will give the unique name. Okay.
Huh. So many ways are there to improve
Hmm.
the code actually.
Okay.
Okay, so now what we have is uh, variables, Terraform variables. Okay, so I want to show you only one image that is more than sufficient to understand the variables, and that is this one. That's all. See, when you write a program, when you write a program, of course you need to set up variables. Correct now? So variables, why we set it up is, I'm not going to get into that topic because it's a global thing which we are doing as a software engineer. Any programming language or scripting language you read, you set the variables. So similar way, Terraform also we set the variables. Now the question is, how do we set it? And if you set it at the multiple places, what are the scope of it? So let me tell you here. In Terraform, you can set the variable in the command line. Okay, you can set the variable in the environment variable, and you can set the variable in any TF file as well. Here named it variables.tf, any TF file. Okay, so command line, environment, and TF. This one I'll show you now. Okay, but let's understand that if you set everywhere the same variable, let's say a variable name my var is equal to value, let's say name is equal to Raj, or age is equal to 18. You set here also age is equal to 18. Here you set age is equal to 19. Here you set age is equal to 20. So 20, 19, 18. The question is which one will have a highest priority? Any idea? Any idea? Answer is there on the screen itself.
Okay, highest priority variables you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
See here, look at this.
environment
Highest priority will be
command line, right?
command line.
Okay,
Simple. Got it? Precedence. You see that here.
correct.
So if you set the same variable everywhere, highest precedence will be command line. Second one will be environment variable, and third and last will be variable dot tf. Please remember that. Okay. So now you understood that how and where. So you look at this here. How command line, whatever the apply or plan you are passing, hyphen var is equal to variable name and the value. If you are setting in the var variable, you have to append this prefix and then variable name and values. And this file, I'll show you that in a few seconds. Now the question is, what are these one? This one. So this file is for values only. Okay. Remember, declaring the variable and values you can do here, here and here. But this file dedicated for values. Okay. So that way you declare the variable in this whole file, set the values in this way. So that way values file is separate. So it's easy for you to set the value. Let's say if the project is very complex, so you just need to go to these files and set the values. The most preferred one is being used this file. Okay. So these three files is for values and most preferred one is this one. Now, last one, let me tell you here, if you set the variable, but you do not set the values, then Terraform will ask you for it. Yes, that's the beauty about it. Terraform will prompt for that values. Okay. And because modules we have not discussed so far, I'll ignore this discussion. So how do we set the variable? So let me show you the variables. Very simple. Uh, Variables. Look at this code and understand this. How do you set the variable in the Terraform? So this is a way to set the variable. Now, if you look at this here, variable, name of the variable, and every variable will be type. So which are the types supported? So you have a number, string, okay, list, map, boolean. These are the 5 types typically. If you see that here, look at this. And these all come from the Python actually. Look at this. These are the type. String, number, bool, list, set map. Few times we use it, tuple and objects. Okay. So these are the type of variable you can set it up. How do we set it up? Look at this one more time. Here, here. Now here default value is set, which you can override through the command line or environment variable. You don't need to set this, is the optional one actually. Okay. So this is the way. So first thing, first question. First question, which are the place we can declare the variable? Command line, environment variable, Terraform file. Second question, how to set the variable on the command line? Third question, how to set the variable in the environment variable? How to set the variable in the variable file, Terraform file? Next question, if the variables values are set all the places, same variable, precedence, look at this. Do we have any files where we can set the only values? Here it is. Most preferred one, this one. If you don't set the values, what will happen? Terraform will prompt for it. Next one. After the setting the variable, how to use it? That's the most important one. And look at this. This is the way you can use it. Var dot, see here. So you set the number, type number 1, default value. So how many times this instance will be created? 1. If you set 5, 5 times. Understood now?
Yeah, yeah, got it.
So here there's one variable string instance name. Look at this. Here is been used var dot instance name. There is a one list type security groups. Here list and map accordingly. So yeah, these are the way you can set the variables and use it. So there's a one example which you see here. Multiple variable has been used and then multiple resources has been used with the variables, and you can see this one also. Few more options are there. Each specific one, I would suggest you to look at this. See, this is a specific to list type, and multiple examples have been given to try it out different. And here number type. So this is a AWS provider and all. So this is the second thing. After understanding the variables, you need to also check sometimes with the meta arguments. So let me show you the meta arguments. These are the techniques of coding. This one is important. This one is important. And this one is important. This you can ignore for time being. So count, I showed you. I mean, if you want to run any resources multiple times, count, you can use it. And if one resource is 1 and resource 2, let's say you want to set that resource 2 should be created only after resource 1, then we use the depends on. Okay. But one thing also you should know, like each resources in Terraform, the dependencies is automatically managed. That means if you're using the providers and all kind of things, automatically managed. So in some situation, if the provider is not able to understand the dependency, in that case you can use the depends on. Example, let me show you. Terraform depends on DevOps school. So simple example I want to show you. Okay, my blog is not coming fast, but yeah. So look at this here. No, it's not coming properly. Let me go to my blog. This one. So here, if you see that, look at this code only, the one which I selected. So here you want to create one EC2 instance and one S3 bucket. But what you want to make sure that the bucket should be created only after the EC2 instance. What you did depends on and done with that and good to go. Okay, so this is the way you can do that. So yeah, these are the things for each. If you want to loop something for in Terraform code, you can use this. So these three you can use for the. This is for looping, and conditioning. This the depends on is a conditioning actually. Okay, so this is the one. Okay, so after understanding all this thing, any questions?
So we don't have like if else type. I mean, depends on like after one after another we will create it, right, based on some
Correct.
uh,
Yes.
yeah. So we don't have like
That
if
one,
else type conditions.
it's not a DSL, no. So if you want to use if else, for that in case you have to use the depends on.
Okay.
And if you want to do the loop, then count or for each. You have to come out of
No,
that
for
transition.
example, like we have some condition where there's two instances I need to create. Okay, so if the first certify the condition, we create the first one. Otherwise, you create the different one, like that.
Yeah. So in that case, I'll put it in this way. Let's say if logic, okay, if var one is true, create resource 1. If var1 is false, correct now, create
Mm.
resource 2, correct.
Yeah.
So this you can do with the bool variable. Let me show you. Let me show. So I'll create it that one. Just give me a few seconds. So web and web1. So this is the resource 1 and this is the resource 2. Okay.
Okay.
So first create this code. They will add the ternary operator and bool variable. Count is equal to 0, count is equal to. I'll show you that. So if you see that this code, very simple. This is a variable bool. Okay. If it
Mm.
is true, then it will create this one. So understand that very simple logic. Count you understand, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So here what is happening is a ternary operator in a Go language. So var means var dot var1, which is the top. And here, if it is true, this is true, then set 1. Which is it
Mm.
true? Yeah, is it true? And if it is a false, set 0. So if it is a 0, this will not be created. So if you set this one false, then it will create this one. Got it?
Mm. Okay. So basically, it's using ternary operator. Okay.
Yeah. So these all logics. I mean, programming logic will remain same, but the expression changing. That's all.
Mm. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now, what is the most important topics now after understanding all this thing? So let me tell you here. You might be wondering, okay, am I going to write all hundreds of resources and this condition, that condition, this argument, that arguments, and all that's a hell lot of work. So what do we do in this case? So actually, you are not going to do all this thing because that is where the concept is coming. Terraform modules. Okay. So Terraform module will help you to automate and reduce your coding. I mean, it's not, I'm saying like reduce your uh, code, but I said reduce your coding. And that we need to understand. So for that matter, first I would suggest practice this little bit, Terraform, understand the whatever I taught you, play around it, get some error, get frustrated, fix that issues, and then get into the modules. Modules are also very simple topics, but because you need to practice a little bit to understand the modules better way. Okay, so uh, there is a one video and multiple videos you have it here. So if you go to here, Terraform here, and the name is in a form of session 1, session 2 or something like that. So but somewhere here, let's say you go to the not this is Azure, this is the AWS. Okay, so somewhere here you will see that modules. So first practice that whatever I taught you, and after that, once you are comfortable, then go for these 3 topics. This for the modules and all. So you will like it. Okay. Any other questions which you have?